Hello and welcome to Idea TV Midday News. I am Mary Ojimajo. We'll begin with the headlines. Senegal to launch a second satellite in 2026 this year. Bandit threatens force Sokoto families to flee to Niger Republic. Uganda army denies arrest of opposition leader Bobi Wine. Court sets March 9 for ruling on suit challenging TINUBU'S emergency orders powers. And away from Africa, Iran protest death toll exceeds 3,000, rights group says. In business, SEC rises capital requirement for market operators, sets 18-month deadline. In health, aid cuts push 1.2 million in northeast Nigerian deeper into hunger. And finally in sport, DEMBELE doubles sends PSG top of Ligue 1. Now the news in full. Senegal has announced plans to launch a second satellite, GANSAT 1 Bravo, in 2026 as part of its national satellite program known as SENSAT. The announcement was made yesterday in Dakar by the program's coordinator, Professor Gayan Faye, during an academic event at the Center for Advanced Defense and Security Studies. The new satellite will build on the capacities of GANSAT-1 Alpha Signal's first satellite, launched in August 2024 from the United States. The satellite currently gathers environmental data and images used for natural resource management, territory surveillance and climate monitoring. Authorities said the project is aimed at strengthening local technical experts. National sovereignty and security signals also plan to introduce a doctoral program in space research to align significant work with defense and operational need, as officials stress that space technology is now central to modern security, modern monitoring, and maritime surveillance. In another news, residents of Isa local government area in Sokoto State say family are risking dangerous journey into the Niger Republic following renewed threats by gunmen linked to notorious bandit leader Bello Tunji. Displaced residents told reporters today that fear has spread across several communities, prompting a mass exodus after warning an attack intensified. Community leaders said the movement began last Friday after Tunji reportedly threatens settlement around the village. Video circulating earlier this week, now confirmed by local authorities, shows residents fleeing their homes. More than 20 settlements are said to have been affected, with kidnapping and ransom demand continued despite payment by families. Those unable to cross the border have sought refuge in nearby towns, while others are sheltering in school classrooms in Isa local government, now serving as temporary relief centers. Local activists said Tunji remains active in the area, contradicting rumors of his death, and residents are appealing to federal and state authorities for urgent coordinated security actions to halt the violence. In another news, Uganda's army has denied claims that opposition leader Bobi Wine was arrested or abducted from home as vote counting continues today, Saturday, following a tense general election. The military dismisses reports that the opposition figures was taken away by helicopter, calling the claims false and aimed at provoking unrest. Bobi Wine said on Friday that he was under home arrest, while his party leader alleged he has been forcefully removed from his residence. The army rejected those allegations, insisting he had not been detained. Journalists report a heavy security presence near his house, though the area was calm amidst an ongoing internet blackout that has limited independent verification. With more than 8% of votes counted, President Yoweri is leading by a wide margin and is expected to extend his decades-long rule once final results are announced later today. The election has been overshadowed by reports of violence, technical failures at polling stations, and accusation of repression against the opposition, as international observers raise concern about and above overall electoral environment. A federal high court in Abuja has fixed March 9 for judgment in a fresh suit challenging the legal authority of President Bola Tinubu to remove elected state officials under a state of emergency. The date was set on Friday after lawyers to both sides adopted their argument between Justice James Omotosho. The case was filed by a civil society group contesting actions taken after a state of emergency was declared in Rivers State last year. The group urged that while the Constitution allows the President to declare an emergency, it does not empower him to suspend or remove elected executive and legislative officers or appoint an interim administrator. The defense insists the court lacks jurisdiction.
However, the challenge lies in ensuring data security. And interoperability between platforms. The market for industry cloud platforms is expected to reach $83 billion by 2025.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Idea TV Midday News. Now the rest of the news. And away from Africa, a rights group has reported that more than 3,000 people have died in Iran's nationwide protests as the country experienced a slight increase in internet activity after an 8-day blackout. The US-based Iranian group said on Saturday today it has verified 3,090 deaths, including nearly 2,900 protesters. Residents in Tehran and other cities told the street have been comparatively calm for several days, with drones observed over the capital, but no major protests reported on Thursday and Friday. The demonstration began on December 28 over economic hardship and quickly expanded into broader calls for an end to clerical rules circulating in mass violence late last week. Internet monitoring group NetBlocks said connectivity has risen only slightly, remaining around 2% of normal levels. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump claimed that Iran has cancelled mass executions that were allegedly scheduled, although Iranian authorities have not confirmed such plans. The crisis have also affected foreign nationals in the country, with student epigrams reporting restrictions on movement and communication. Now in business, Nigerian Security and Exchange Commission has announced higher minimum capital requirements for operators in the capital market, giving firms 18 months to comply. In a circular released on Friday, the regulator said the new framework replaces the 2050 structure with full compliance required by June 30, 2027. Under the reverse rules, stockbrokers must now maintain 600 million naira in capital, dealers 1 billion naira, and broker-dealer 2 billion naira. Fund managers will operate under a tiered system, with large firms required to hold up to 5 billion naira, while digital asset exchange and custodian must meet a new 2 billion naira threshold as they come fully under regulation. The Commission says the charges are aimed at strengthening the market, managing risks, and supporting Nigerians' long-term economic ambition. Industry players described the move as expected, warning it could trigger capitalization, mergers or license downgraded, but say better capitalized firms are essential for a modern technology-driven capital market. Now in health, the World Food Programme has warned that aid cuts have pushed at least 1.2 million people in northern Nigeria deeper into hunger. Speaking on Friday, United Nations agencies said funding shortfalls focuses it to scale back food and nutrition support, worsening an already fragile humanitarian situation. The agency says reduced funding last year led to the supervision of nutrition programs for more than 300,000 children with malnutrition levels in several northern states, deteriorating from serious to critical. It adds that in February, assistance will reach just 22,000 people, down sharply from 13 million supported during the 2025 lean season. The World Food Programme says conflict, displacement and economic hardship have driven hunger, but warns that funding cuts are now pushing communities beyond their coping capacity. It says Nigeria and 3 neighboring countries account for more than 3/4 of food insecurity in the region and is applying for urgent financial support to prevent a further humanitarian crisis. And finally, in sport, Paris Saint-Germain moved to the top of Ligue 1 after a dominant 3-0 victory over Lille at the Parc des Princes on Friday. Dembele scores twice, including a stunning job as the champion produced a commanding display in raining conditions. Dembele opened the scoring with a super left-footed strike from outside the box in the 13th minute and added a second win, a chipping finish just after the hour mark. PSG later had a third global goal from the score in stoppage time, stealing the win after Lee has briefly threatened with a near miss from Victorian Olivier. The result left PSG above the Lille, who can return to the summit if they win their match today. For PSG, the performance will be a major boost as Dembele returns to form after a season disrupted by injury. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV Midday News. But before we go, here's the recap of the headlines. Senegal to launch second satellite in 2026. Bandit threatens for SOKOTO families to flee to Niger Republic. Uganda army denies arrest of opposition leader. Court sets March 9 for ruling on suit challenging TINUBU'S emergency powers. And away from Africa, Iran protesters' death roll exceeds 3,000 right over, group says. In business, SEC rises capital requirement for market operators, sets 18 months deadline. In health, 8 court push 1.2 million in northeast Nigeria deeper into hunger. And finally, sport, Dembele double sends PSG top of League 1. Do not forget to follow us across our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Mary Ojimajo. Thank you for watching.